Hi, I'll continue reading and the Diary of a Young Girl. During my last read, I read I think two diary entries. They are basically just Anne Frank and talking about her silly, her puerile, puerile love story. The love story of a 13-year-old girl with a guy he met. I'll continue. I will continue and come back to the diary entry on 5th of July, Sunday. Uh, it was about Anne receiving a report card, and yeah, I'll continue. The Goslar household is really a sight. Mrs. Goslar's parents live next door, but eat with the family. Then there's a hired girl, the baby, the always absent-minded and absent Mr. Goslar, and the always nervous and errata Mrs. Goslar, who is expecting another baby. Lies, who has all thumbs, gets lost in the mayhem. My sister Maggot has also gotten her report card. Brilliant, as usual. If we had such a thing as cum laude, or it's a Latin word I don't really know how to pronounce, she would have passed with honors. She's so smart. Father has been home a lot lately. There's nothing for him to do at the office. It must be awful to feel you're not needed. Mr. Clayman has taken over Opecta and Mr. Kugler, Geese and Co. The company dealing in spices and spice substitutes that was set up in 1941. A few days ago, as we were taking a stroll around our neighborhood square, Father began to talk about going into hiding. He said it would be very hard for us to live cut off from the rest of the world. I asked him why he was bringing this up now. Well, and he replied, you know that for more than a year we have been bringing clothes, food, and furniture to other people. We don't want our belongings to be seized by the Germans, nor do we want to be fall into their clutches ourselves. So we live of our own accord and not wait to be hauled away. But when, father, he sounded so serious that I felt scared. Don't you worry, we'll take care of everything. Just enjoy your carefree life while you can. That was it. Oh, may these somber words not come true for as long as possible. The doorbell's ringing. Hello's there. Here, time to stop. Yours and Wednesday, 8th of July, 1942. Dearest Kitty, it seems like years since Sunday. It seems like years since Sunday morning. So much has happened. It's as if the whole world has suddenly turned upside down. But as you can see, Kitty, I'm still alive, and that's the main thing. Father says, I'm alive all right, but don't ask where or how. You probably don't understand a word I'm saying today, so I'll begin by telling you what happened Sunday afternoon. At 3 o'clock, Hello had left but was supposed to come back later. The doorbell rang. I didn't hear it since I was out on the balcony, lazily reading in the sun. A little a little while later, Margaret appeared in the kitchen doorway, looking very agitated. Father has received a call-up notice from the SS, she whispered. Mother has gone to see Mr. Van Daan. Mr. Van Daan is father's business partner and good friend. I was stunned. A co-op. Everyone knows what that means. Visions of concentration camps and lonely cells raced through my head. How could we let father go to such a fate? Of course he's not going, declared Margaret as we waited for mother in the living room. Mother's has gone to Mr. Van Daan to ask whether we can move to our hiding place tomorrow. The Van aren't going with us. There will be 7 of us altogether. Silence. We couldn't speak. The thought of father off visiting someone in the Jewish hospital and completely unaware of what was happening, the long wait for mother, the heat, the suspense, all this reduced us to silence. Suddenly the doorbell rang again. "That's hello," I said. "Don't open the door!" exclaimed Margaret to stop me. But it wasn't necessary, since we heard mother and Mr. Van Daan downstairs talking to Hello, and then the two of them came inside and shut the door behind them. Every time the bell rang, either Margaret or I had to tiptoe downstairs to see if it was father, and we didn't let anyone else in. Margaret and I were sent from the room, and as Mr. Van Daan wanted to talk to mother alone. When she and I were sitting in our bedroom, Margaret told me that the call up was not for father, but for her. At this second shock, I began to cry. Margaret is 16. Apparently, they want to send girls her age away on their own. But thank goodness she won't be going. Mother had said so herself, which must be what father had meant when he talked to me about our going into hiding. Hiding? Where would we hide? In a city, in a country, in a house, in a shack? When? Where? How? These were questions I wasn't allowed to ask, but they still kept running through my mind. Margaret and I started packing our most important belongings into a school bag. The first thing I stuck in was this diary, and then colors, handkerchiefs, school books, a comb, and some old letters. Preoccupied by the thought of going into hiding, I stuck the craziest things in the bag, but I'm not sorry. Memories mean more to me than dresses. Father finally came home around 5 o'clock, and we called Mr. Clement to ask if he would come by that evening. Mr. Van Daan left and went to get Miep. Miep arrived and promised to return later that night, taking with her a bag full of shoes, dresses, jackets, underwear, and stockings. After that, it was quiet in our apartment. None of us felt like eating. It was still hot, and everything was very strange. We had rented our big upstairs room to a Mr. Goldsmith, a divorced man in his 30s, who apparently had nothing to do that evening, since despite all our polite hints, he hung around until 10 o'clock. Miep and Genghis came at 11. Miep, who has worked for father's company since 1933, has become a close friend, and so has her husband, Jen. Once again, shoes, stockings, books, and underwear disappeared into Miep's bag and Jen's deep pockets. At 11:30, they too disappeared. I was exhausted, and even though I knew it would be my last night in my own bed, I fell asleep right away and didn't wake up until mother called me at 5:30 the next morning. Fortunately, it wasn't as hot as Sunday. A warm rain fell throughout the day. The four of us were wrapped in so many layers of clothes it looked as if we were going off to spend the night in a refrigerator, and all that just so we could take more clothes with us. No Jew in our situation would dare leave the house with a suitcase full of clothes. I was wearing 2 undershirts, 3 pairs of underpants, a dress, and over that a skirt, a jacket, a raincoat, 2 pairs of stockings, heavy shoes, a cap, a scarf, and lots more. I was suffocating even before we left the house, but no one bothered to ask me how I felt. Margaret stuffed her school bag with schoolbooks, went to get her bicycle, and with Mia leading the way, rode off into the great unknown. At any rate, that's how I thought of it, since I still didn't know where our hiding place was. At 7:30, we two closed the door behind us. Mujay, my cat, was the only living creature I said goodbye to. According to a note we left for Mr. Goldsmith, she was to be taken to the neighbors, who would give her a good home. The stripped beds, the breakfast things on the table, the pound of meat for the cat in the kitchen, all of these created the impressions that we were left in a hurry. But we were interested in impressions. We just wanted to get out of that, to get away and reach our destination in safety. Nothing else mattered. More tomorrow. Yours and Thursday, 9th of July 1942. Dearest Kitty, so there we were, father, mother, and I walking in the pouring rain, each of us with a school bag and a shopping bag, filled to the brim with the most varied assortment of items. The people on their way to work at that early hour gave us sympathetic looks. You could tell by their faces that they were sorry they couldn't offer us some kind of transportation. The conspicuous yellow star spoke for itself. Only when we were walking down the street did father and mother reveal little by little what the plan was. For months we have been moving as much of our furniture and apparel out of the apartment as we could. It was agreed that we would go into hiding on 16th July because of Margaret's call-up notice. The plan had to be moved up 10 days, which meant we have to make do with less orderly rooms. The hiding place was located in Father's office building. That's a little hard for outsiders to understand, so I explained. Father didn't have a lot of people working in his office, just Mr. Kugler, Mr. Clayman, Miep, and a 23-year-old typist named Bab Waskuji, all of whom were informed of our coming. Mr. Waskuji, Bab's father, works in the warehouse along with two assistants, none of whom were told anything. Here's a description of the building. The large warehouse on the ground floor is used as a workroom and storeroom and is divided into several different sections, such as the stockroom and the milling room, where cinnamon and cloves and a pepper substitute are ground. Next to the warehouse doors is another outside door, a separate entrance to the office. Just inside the office door is a second door, and beyond that a stairway. At the top of the stairs is another door with a frosted window on which the word office is written in black letters. This is the big front office, very large, very light, and very full. Bab, Miep, and Mr. Clayman work there during the day. After passing through an alcove containing a safe, wardrobe, and a big supply cupboard, you come to the small, dark, stuffy back office. This used to be shared by Mr. Kugler and Mr. Van Daan, but now Mr. Kugler is its only occupant. Mr. Kugler's office can also be reached from the hallway, but only through a glass door that can be opened from the inside, but not easily from the outside. If you leave Mr. Kugler's office and proceed through the long, narrow hallway past the coal bin and go up 4 steps, you find yourself in the private office, the showpiece of the entire building. Okay, maybe I'll stop here. I would like to discuss a little because I need to really read the history. I don't really understand. By then, it is already year 1942. The Nazi Party has occupied Netherlands, but they were slow in sending Jews to the concentration camp. Apparently, from the story of Anne Frank, Anne said that only her sister was called up, while the rest of the family wasn't called up yet. I don't really understand. And meanwhile, when they walk onto the street, did they meet a lot of Jews? I really wonder. How about those people? Do they really want to hide together with Anne's family? Do they have their own plan? I need to read the history. I don't really understand. Okay, I'll stop here and continue in another episode. Goodbye.